when I started cold calling, it changed me completely. It really did, and I've always said that it was one of the things that should change my life completely. But cold calling really did bring out the confidence in me that has kind of translated not just from from business to pretty much every other kind of aspect in my life as well. Nice. Welcome back to another ICW session webinar. We're going to talk about making calls today. So today I have had a productive-ish day. My morning was super productive, I feel anyway. I sat down and I made a bunch of cold calls. Not a super long time, but I think it's important because it's something that I feel like a lot of people avoid because it's scary. And it's something that I haven't done in a while, in a few months, because I changed up my my methods of getting clients and setting appointments. I focused a lot more on social media, sphere of influence, and referrals, rather than making cold calls. But today I thought I was just going to spice things up and change it around a bit, and I had a list of homeowners, FSBOs, that I thought let's just go through and give them a call. So I made 9 calls. It was just over half an hour. It wasn't like a big 3-hour session or anything like that. But I think that's also important because those that are scared to do them or they're not in the habit of doing them can just take it and bite size it down. You don't need to sit and do a 3-hour cold calling session the first time that you try it. Just kind of cut it down and do like I did, like 30 minutes, even 15 minutes. Just make one call if you're super scared. One call and then do another one tomorrow, and slowly build up the confidence from there. But yeah, it was a little rusty to start with, let's just say. But it ended up okay. So I made about 9 calls, and I got what did I get? Yeah, I got three good conversations out of it. 2 kind of said like, call me back, or let's speak tomorrow or whatever. So I got 3 decent conversations, and out of those 3, I have two appointments pending. They need confirmation because they either weren't the the actual owner of the property. They're like a family member of the owner, or other kind of personal situations. But I thought that was a good session. 9 calls, kind of like pretty much got two appointments out of it, kind of thing. So let's dive into it. Let's dive into making calls and how it's done and how you feel about it. Is it something that you do often? Is it something that you have it included in your daily schedule, or how do you do them?
Yeah, good job on making your calls. I know that hasn't been in your repertoire. It is in mine. It's part of my daily routine. You talk about the 3-hour time frame. I'm doing about 2.5 hours of calls.
Nice.
And that's prospecting. That's to get business. Because when I'm meeting people, whether it is social media, whether it's in person, if I'm getting business cards from people, I'm putting them in my database, in my CRM, and I want to call them at some time. And they may not be looking, but then you have to see who they know. And so that's always that interesting conversation to see, not only is it them, then who else? And maybe it is them, but then what's their time frame? So, I like how you started. Yes, it is great. If you're not used to making cold calls and you're just like, I'm nervous, I'm going to do it. Do like Ian said, make that 1.
Yeah.
And then it leads to 9. Great. Then challenge yourself next week and say, how can I get to 15? Then push it to 20. Then push it to 30. Because real estate is, and no matter where you are, in whatever state, whatever country, it's a numbers game, right?
Yep.
the more you call, the more connections you're going to get, the more appointments you'll be able to go on, the more offers you're going to be able to put together, the more closings you're going to have. So it's all that's going to tie together. So really good on that, my man. So let me ask you this: with the 9, you said they were FSBOs. What? How did you get their phone numbers in order to call them?
So various methods. I had a list created that I generated through my own lead generation on social media. So like a lead gen campaign. But I saw there was a few from there, but another one method that we have here anyway in Spain. I'm sure in other countries also. I'm not sure. I know the US actually has easier access to these numbers than we do. But basically, it's an online tool. It's like a software that we have, which pulls the information from different property portals. Portals being like Zillow or any other similar kind of website. So here in Spain, so here in Spain, we have a bunch of them, and basically this tool that I use, this software, pulls the numbers from homeowners that upload their property that aren't professional. So like, you know, it's their own home. It's not a business that's uploaded the property. It's a private owner. So if I was to put my house on one of these property portals, the tool would kind of like trigger saying, oh, that's the FSBOs just put their house up for sale on this website for the first time. And then they kind of like shove it into this list. And I can see, you know, I can get like real-time alerts like sent to my phone, you know, property in whatever town area has just been uploaded to whatever website. Get in touch with them quick. So that's where I pulled most of them from. And then, as like I said, a bunch of them from social media as well. And I was going to ask you, because it's something that obviously you do a lot of, like, I don't know, cold calling. I used to work in cold calling, and I kind of learned to love it after a while. When you start seeing the results and stuff, you kind of learn.
Usually how it goes. Yeah, you learn to love it. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You really. I remember the first time I made cold calls, and my finger was above the call button for like a minute straight, and I just could not bring myself to do it. I hated it. And then having to do that, you know, like 8 hours a day, every single day, I thought, why did I take this job? But I learned to love it. And, you know, it was one of the best producing jobs that I ever had working in sales.
And eventually you just have to do it, right? You have to push that button and make that call, right?
And my question is, what would you say to people that think that they can build a real estate business in particular without doing the calls? I mean, do you think it's feasible? You know, is it possible? People can do it. People do it, you know, top producers. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's definitely doable to do it without cold calling. You know, I think it's just, how do you want to draw your business?
Yeah.
You know, and even if it's sphere of influence, you're still calling, you're not cold calling.
True.
You know, you're still reaching out to your family members, your friends, people that know you already, but you're just asking for business. So, and that's okay. That's something that, you know, we want to know what's important to you. And that's where, hey, how do we enhance that? How do we take your sphere? If you don't want to do cold calls, you don't have to do cold calls. But it's worked for me. It's working for you. And I think sometimes it's good to say, hey, I'm going to try it and work it. But when you start, you get nervous because maybe it's a fear of rejection. Maybe they're going to say something that you don't know how to counter. Just have a conversation. Think of it as you are calling your friend and you haven't talked to them in years, and say, hey, you know, hey, this is Jason. We haven't talked, but, you know, just open up the door and just say, hey, I saw you had this property being listed for sale by owner. Can you tell me the details on it?
Yeah.
Ask questions to get their involvement. And that's going to help. You know, going just to your question, just so I don't go off too much. I think it's feasible, man.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that are successful without making calls. Good. And that's great. But that's real estate, right?
Yeah.
We could do a lot of different things. I am always an advocate to do 5 things that you're great at. Because if you do 20 things that you're mediocre, you're never going to be a master.
Right.
Focus on no more than 5. Now it could be less than 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be any of those, and branch those out. So if it's cold calls is 1, then you got social media is 2. You want to do open houses and FISBOs and expireds. Well, there's 5.
Yeah.
Master those and then move on, because in real estate there's going to be a lot of shiny objects out there and saying, oh, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Oh yeah.
But you're committed to these 5. And now if you want to do this, you need to eliminate one of these and then add it in.
That's a really cool way of looking at it, actually. I never thought about it like that before. That's cool. So when you look at, like past sales and or even just your current portfolio, is it all from cold calling? Is that where the majority of your sales end up coming from?
It changes through the years. It has been a lot. That was one of the big ways I was trained, was making online calls, cold calls, reaching out. And I think with real estate, you have to adapt with the times. Things are changing. What works, what's more relevant, what's going to get through to people more. And so I don't give up on doing cold calls. I did them today. But you got to look at it. Like, I went from just looking and calling buyers to branching that out to calling expired listings and saying, all right, hey, I'm going to call these guys. Now that's a whole different conversation, because now they're mad that I'm calling them, So now I got to come that, hey, they're going to come and be mad at me that because 20 other realtors are calling them. So I need to be creative. I need to be cool. And I need to be okay with them telling me no, or if they start swearing at me or whatever happens. So you have to have the mindset when you're going into these calls of how it's going to go. And even like when you were saying, hey, you were nervous to press that button, but probably my thought to you on that, once you hit go, you did the first one. The second one was a little easier. The third one was even easier. The fourth one was even easier. And it just keeps going. I was like that yesterday. I was going to call some people that I've never talked to, some realtors around the community, just to reach out. And man, and I put it off. It was finally 4:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, man, I got to call. So I called the first one, and you know what? Got a voicemail.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and I left a voicemail on theirs, and then after that, I was fine to call. It was that first one I needed to get over that hurdle and just do it. There's that book out there, Eat the Frog, right?
Yeah, right. They
talk about it. If something is on your to-do list that you really don't want to do, but you want to do it, or you have to do it to push business forward, do it first in the morning.
That's
right?
it.
Do it first thing, get it done with. And if it takes you 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, 5 hours, so be it. You're done with it. Did you get any success from it? Or did you at least learn from it? That's success, right? You've learned, and maybe you didn't have a conversation, but you learned how you felt in that moment. And now you're like, all right, tomorrow I need to be able to get over this quicker so I could make more conscious calls, have a better mindset, and be able to get buyers, get sellers, get whatever you want to get when you're making those calls.
Yeah. And apart from that, I think that when you get into cold calling, and it's something that you do regularly, and you get better at it, and you maybe start seeing results, I think it brings out this kind of, for me, it brought out this kind of hidden confidence that I didn't know I had. I've always been super shy. I'm an introvert. at soul level. And it's when I started cold calling, it changed me completely. It really did. And I've always said that it was one of the things that should change my life completely. And I'm not like a sleazy, not that I don't want to offend anyone, but like I'm not a sleazy car sales kind of, when you think of the old style salesman, that's kind of like what you get from the movies and stuff. It's not that that's the way that I sell or I've ever sold, but cold calling really did bring out a confidence in me that has kind of translated not just from business to pretty much every other kind of aspect in my life as well, whether it's making friends, talking to friends that I already have, going to events, whether it's business related or not. I feel like I don't know, I just kind of have this, like, yeah, I can meet someone in person and have a drink with someone that I haven't met before. I made like 15 cold calls this morning. Like the 15 cold calls is like 100 times tougher than this. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it just brought out this kind of weird hidden confidence that I didn't know I had in me. And that all stems from cold calling. And it's, like I said, when I first got started, it was hover over the call button for like 5 minutes, sweating, starting to stress. I could feel my heart in my throat. And like you said, I hit call and they didn't even pick up. And it's like, man, it wasn't even worth the stress.
Right.
But for me, I was so bad at it, I had to take like breaks between calls. So I would stress about pushing the button. I would push the call button. It would dial out. They wouldn't answer. And like I would need to come down after that for like a minute or two. I would need to sit and just kind of like shake it all off before I could make the next one. And then it started all over again. I had a horrible experience when I first got into sales, cold calling in particular. But
well, you do have to find a rhythm. And that's it. Obviously in that moment you were escalated in your mind. You're escalated to the 10th degree where you finally push the button and then no, nothing even happened. So that's why just call. You know what? It's just like if you're making straight cold calls, that person doesn't know you yet. Yeah. So there's no hard feelings if they don't answer, they hang up, they swear at you. And you know what? What if you make a friend out of it? What if they're interested in you? And what if they want to use your services in real estate? Think that way. But we are so trained to think the opposite. Yeah. That, oh man, what are they going to think of me? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? Just go with it and build a friendship. If you have friends out there, and I know everybody does, just go out there and make a friend. Ask them. We've got a lot of techniques. And one of the biggest techniques that you could use is the Ford technique. And FORD. So you're using that. The F, ask about family. Hey Ian, how's the family doing? Boom. It opens up the door because now I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the family. Great. We all have family, whether it's our parents, whether it's nieces, nephews, cousins, brothers, whatever. We've got them, right? The O. You know what the O is, Ian?
Occupation.
What do you do? So good. Get to know them. Right? This works for anything. Cold calls, meeting people the first time, out in person at a party, whatever. It works. What do you do for a living? Because in turn, they're going to say, what do you do?
Right.
Oh,
that's it.
I'm glad you asked. I get to run a real estate business. I get to develop teams. Great. How does that look? Now they're interested in me. And now I'm going to turn it back on them. I'm going to start asking them more questions. Good. Then we're going to go to R. Recreation, man. What do you like to do for fun? I like to have fun. What do you do for fun? Right? Boom. And then D. What's D, Ian?
Desires. I think it was written down as desires, like what they're
desires, dreams.
Dreams, yeah.
What do you want? What do you want out of life? Do you want to keep working as the mail carrier for the rest of your life, or do you want to go up and be the CEO, or you're content with being the mail carrier for the rest of your life? Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, again, I'm not here to judge, and I'm not here to pick and choose. I want to understand you and that person on the phone and build a true relationship. And cold calls are challenging because people are not fully transparent, and they may have a conversation, but they may steer you in the wrong way. So that's where
Yeah.
you need to great verbiage and also have great follow-up. So
Right.
at the end of the call, you want to be able to say, hey, one, you should be going for an appointment. If you're dealing with buyers or FSBOs or any sellers, you should be going with some sort of an appointment to get in front of them. I know Ian's great in front of people, right? I think the majority of us watching this are better in front of people. But that cold call is just a quick move from step one to meeting. And I'll tell you this, cold calling, you can cover a huge radius of who you're going to call in a shorter amount of time, better than almost any other kind of prospecting.
That's true. That's very true.
You know, so that's one of the reasons I stick with it, because it is. I don't have to go drive around everywhere. I could sit in my office, make the calls, and I block my time every morning, and boom. And then as that grows, then I'm kind of, all right, now I need to shift my gears, and I go out later in the day, because nobody's showing me, calling me saying, Jason, I need to see this house at 8 a.m. Nobody does.
Yeah. Right.
And if it's a hot property, well, we need to get out yesterday.
Yeah, that's
so.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of past that market at this point.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that I really enjoy about cold calling, I think, and this was something that really helped me back when I was struggling with it, was, and I don't know where I learned this from. It might have been a book, it might have been a movie or something. But you can be anyone on the phone. Like you mentioned before, they don't know who you are. This is the first time that you're talking to them, so you can be whoever you want to be. So what I would do is I would kind of change myself into a different version of me, one that's super successful and loves to cold call. And I would just pretend to be that person when making the calls. And as stupid as it sounds, it worked. It was like I would become that person.
It's not stupid at all. That's work Ian. That's real estate Ian that needs to make cold calls. And that's good to decipher from yourself. You talked about, hey, you're an introvert, all that stuff. Cool. You know who you are. But in order for you to go get business and do what you need to do, you got to be this guy.
That's it.
I'm the same way, man. I've got a lot of energy. And so, I know when to dial it back. I know when to shoot it forward. I'm hanging out with friends. Hey, what's up? Let's go crazy. But I can't do that over the phone. I can't come out and be.
No, you scare them away.
Yeah. So one of the best things when you're calling and making those cold calls, go with the energy that's on the other side.
Certainly. Yeah. Yeah.
If you call them and they sound like they just got up out of bed. Oh, hey, hello. I'm like, hey, Ian, hey, this is Jason. I'm with World Title Real Estate. I'm keeping it cool, man.
Yeah.
But if they come up and like, hey, this is John. How can I help you? Hey, John, what's up? This is Jason. Bring it up.
Right.
So it's all that stuff. Reflect that, and then again, ask the questions. If you're not sure what questions to ask, again, follow those four technique. It's 4 questions that'll get your foot in the door, and then number 5, go for an appointment.
Yeah,
and that's the biggest advice. Boom. And I think that will get you moving in real estate.
Yeah, I think so. And when I make those first touches or that first contact with a cold call, I don't know them, they don't know me. I just know that they sell property. I don't know. They're not long calls. It takes like a few minutes max, and the like you said, the only objective, the only goal here is to set an appointment with the client. What I do is I like to meet with them for coffee. I like to tell them I would I'd like to buy them a coffee so that they get to know me and I get to know them before we see the, you know, the property, the house or whatever it is. So that's the way that I've been doing it this year for the past, 6 months. And it's actually worked pretty well. I had a successful real estate coffee at the end of last week, it turned into 2 listings from the same owner, which I'm signing tomorrow. So it's
That's
the
a good investment.
Right. So what's it take? Like a 4-minute call. And I got 2 listings out of it. That's another thing. They don't know you, so you can be whoever you want to be on the phone, and you don't know them. This guy might have like 6 properties for sale because he's an investor. You just you don't know until you made that connection and you started the conversation. So no, I definitely think it's like I don't know, it's something that's always worked, and I think it's something that always will work. And
go ahead.
Yeah. No, and you go ahead.
No, I think they will always work too. And again, you just have to change with the times. You can't just stick to saying, hey, this is all I'm going to ask and this is it. And it's not working for me, so I'm not going to do it. No, you have to change with the times. You have to be aware of what's going on in real estate. You have to listen to what those people are saying and what their concerns are. Hey, I don't want to buy for next year. All right, why? Oh, interest rates are high. Oh, presidential election here in the United States. Oh, we've got XYZ. All right, great. Well, help me understand. So now I'm going to be better because here in the United States, interest rates are floating around 7%. Well, I'll tell you this fact. Majority of people don't know that 7% is the national average over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's normal. It's normal. So people don't understand because they saw 2 years ago we were at 3%. And it's not that. Well, yeah. We've never seen that before, and we're never going to see a 3% interest rate again. So that's where you got to have good conversations. And it's funny because, like, you know, we're doing this video, and when I'm doing phone calls, one of the first thing I was always taught, have a smile on your face.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because if you're calling and, you know, and I'm trying to help people and I'm telling about interest rates and I'm getting into it, man, you know, and I lose my smile because I'm focused and I'm intentional. But that's when I got to pull back and be like, hey, I'm not smiling. Yeah. So if I could smile and tell you about interest rates and, hey, 7% is the national average, that's a little bit better in longevity versus me coming up and being like, hey, did you know this? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And that way I could build a friend better when I smile. So keep that in mind when you're making those calls. As nervous as you are, get your head straight. Know who you're going to call. Keep a smile on your face and use the 4 technique. And go. Push yourself to do it. You can do it. And when you get results, woohoo! Let us know. Shoot us a text, shoot us a DM, whatever. Let us know. We want to hear about these success stories. It's awesome. So, and remember, guys, it only takes one person a day to connect with.
That's it.
That's it. If you could connect with one a day, boom, your world's going to change. So we want to help you do that. So.
Cool. No, that sounds good. I would say, I'm kind of putting myself into the mindset of when I first got started and how much of a coward I was when I first started with the cold calls. But get through your first 10 cold calls as quick as possible. Don't expect any results. That's what I did when I first started. Turn into the future version of yourself, which is really good at cold calling. And even if it's what it takes, I would stand up. I used to stand up to make my cold calls. I would have the headset on. I would stand up.
Energy.
And I would just, I would feel it in all my body, and that's what eventually kind of got me to cross that threshold and defeat that guardian that was, pulling me back from making the calls. And well, yeah, it became successful. I'm still doing it like 4 years later. So definitely,
nice.
Definitely.
Well, and I'll tell you this, that energy you create is going to be the energy you push out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so standing up, again, I've said it a few times, mindset, standing up, do what works for you. I know you know the book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0.
Yeah.
A great way, if you don't know yourself of how you are, one, take a disc profile test, right? They have a Tony Robbins version. Reach
Yep.
out to Ian or myself. We could shoot it over to you, super simple, but you would be happy to get you the link. And or actually, when we post this, we could drop it down below and people could have it too.
Yeah.
The disc assessment test will just get you to know you. And then reading the book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, will also hone in. And it's just like that, where Ian's saying, hey, I stood up and my energy was better and I was making better connections. And dude, I love that because I do that from time to time. And, especially once I get into a great phone call and I've got my headset, I wear my headset, when I'm making calls. So that way I could stand up, I could move around, and then I start using my hands and I'm just energetic. And you know what's on my face? A smile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm excited, I'm loving it, I'm doing it, and then it's going through, and then that connection is even bigger. And then when we get together at a coffee meeting, cool. Hey, cool, we're having coffee. I love coffee. So cool. I'm already excited to go have coffee. I don't even care
Right.
how the thing turns out. I'm getting coffee. Woo! Right? So now we've got that. So then you bring that energy in front of people too. You've got a smile, you've got that personality, you're clicking. And last thing I have, Ian, be okay if those people don't match who you want to work with.
Yeah.
Be okay. Don't come from scarcity, right?
True.
Come from abundance. If you meet these people from at coffee and they're just negative and just way worried and they're not willing to listen to you to help you coach them. If they're unwilling to be like that, then maybe they're not the fit for you. And it's better to cut ties with them then
Yes.
and
100%.
move on and maybe make more calls or have better questions for the next client than wasting time with them that are going to weigh you down. They're going to probably screw up the offer at some point. It's going to be a lot of stress on your shoulders. Then you got to take that stress into the household. Then the spouse and the kids and the dog and the cat and the fish, they all feel it too. And then it carries on for 30, 60, 90 days because you're under contract with them. And it's just,
That's
so
it.
be okay with saying, hey, you know what? You're not the right fit for me.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to say no.
Yep. That's being a smart business owner. So that's what I got, my man.
Awesome. Yeah, don't be afraid to say no. There's plenty more fish in the sea. So come from abundance and make your calls. ICW. This is every Tuesday, noon Eastern Standard Time. ICW. This is what we're all about. High value, having fun, high energy. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Ian. Bye, everybody.